What is the purpose of my life? What happens when I die? Where did we all come from? Is there any justice in this world? This and many other fundamental questions is something that we all have thought about at some point in our lives. Many of us find answers in religion, while others are left wandering in the dark, trying to find answers on their own. And yet, the answers that religion provides come with new questions that religious people have to answer to themselves. If God is kind and merciful, why are there children born with terminal diseases who suffer for no apparent reason? Why is there so much injustice in this world? Why, if God wants us to join Him, would He not reveal Himself so clearly to everybody that there is no doubt left? Whether or not you believe in God, you must have thought about those questions at some point. Maybe as an abstract intellectual exercise, maybe to try to better understand the faith of your friends or family who are religious, or maybe, if you are religious, as something deeply personal and important to your faith. Today, I want to share 3 science fiction books that challenge religion, religious thought, or even God Himself. They're not atheist books. In fact, one of the authors is religious herself, and I don't know about the other 2. But the questions they pose are challenging. And I think whether or not you believe in God, they will change the way you think about religion, faith, and devotion. And I hope you enjoy my recommendations. The first book is The Lord of Light by Roger Zelazny. To give you a very brief summary of the plot, in this book, a bunch of people impersonate gods from the Hindu pantheon to control a planet. The main character is a renegade god who rebels against this unjust state of affairs. This book doesn't strike at the very core of the religious idea and religious thinking, in that it doesn't question God Himself. Nevertheless, it pokes quite precisely at the idea of a religious practice and how it can be misused in many ways. It explores in depth the famous idea that technology, when sufficiently advanced, is indistinguishable from magic. And it makes you wonder, what if our world is in fact ruled not by God and not by nature, but by some super intelligent civilization? It's a fun read, but the ideas were not explored at extreme depth, and it's not my favorite book. So let's move on to our heavy hitters. Book number 2, The Sparrow by Mary Doria Russell. An intelligent civilization is discovered somewhere around Alpha Centauri, and maybe not that surprisingly, the first organization to put together an expedition is actually Jesuit Church. The main character is a Jesuit priest, and we follow him in 2 timelines. In the first timeline, we see him hopeful and excited about this discovery, excited to be chosen to lead this expedition. In the second timeline, we see him as he had returned to Earth, broken both physically and mentally and struggling to maintain his faith. Something about what had happened at Alpha Centauri broke him and made him question everything he had believed in. While I have many questions to the science fiction components of this book, I thought those mishaps and kind of plot holes-ish things were well compensated by the depth of the exploration of the religious experience of this priest that we are following. His struggle to maintain faith, his relationship with God. Whether or not you're religious, I think reading this would help you understand better what does it feel for a person to search for his faith, what does it feel to have a relationship with God. Again, whether or not you're religious, it's a good thing to know, either to better understand your religious friends or family, or to maybe gain some inspiration and some answers for your own religious journey. The last book for this video is called Hell is the Absence of God by Ted Chiang. This short story blew me away. The question of why God wouldn't reveal Himself if He wants people to love Him and to choose the righteous path is pretty common, and most people probably have some answer to it. But Ted Chiang pushes this question one step further. What if it was absolutely obvious that God existed? You can see hell, and you can see signs of divine intervention happening on a daily basis. And still, it doesn't make everybody love God. And many people, in fact, hate Him. The main character is caught in an unsolvable dilemma. A common event happened. An angel visited Earth and effected some miracles. Those angels, when they visit Earth, they heal some people, but as a byproduct, they create a little bit of a natural disaster, and some people die because of that. The main character's wife was in a cafe. She was sitting near a window when an angel appeared. The shockwave shattered the glass and she received multiple lacerations and bled to death. Everybody saw her soul ascend to heaven because she loved God and she was devout, and this is the requirement to go to heaven in this world. The main character loves his wife to death. He's willing to do everything he could to join her. But to do that, he needs to love God, who had killed his wife, and he hates God instead. The whole story is about this character trying to love God, to join his wife, and struggling with it. It's a fascinating read. It's one of the most poignant and sharp, unapologetic explorations of what does it mean to be devout? What does it mean to love something that you do not understand? It's a great story and I recommend you to read it whether or not you are religious. But if you are religious, prepare to be challenged. I hope that even if your most precious beliefs are tested or questioned, this book would still be enjoyable for you. Partially because it's a great piece of writing, but even more importantly, no matter what your beliefs are, it's never a good idea to run away from difficult questions. Instead, to be in harmony with yourself, to be honest with yourself and others, the right thing to do is to face those questions head on and either find answers that will satisfy you or change your beliefs. At least that's my position. So I hope that those books will provide plentiful food for thought and that your beliefs, whatever they are, would be more consistent and more deeply thought out after reading those books. Enjoy and see you soon.